Leggy, and I will be reviewing Dragon Age Awakening for the Xbox 360. Okay guys, so we're going to start with the story for Dragon Age Awakening. So basically what happens is the original Dragon Age ends, and what happens is your character is still around. You become the commander of the Grey Wardens, and you have a new location set in Vigil's Keep, which is a new segment of Amaranthine. Now basically you start over, you have a fresh slate. You don't necessarily have to deal with all those places that you unlocked from the first game, because now you have a whole separate area. And basically, like I said, you start with Vigil's Keep. Vigil's Keep is basically your headquarters, from where you get your main plot points and so on and so forth. The story goes that, okay, you're back in Amaranthine, you're the commander of the Grey Wardens, and the Darkspawn are back. I mean, what happens is you end up eliminating them from the first game, and now this expansion just brings them back. They're smarter, they're heavier, and basically you got to find out why they're back, how are they coming back, why are they still around, why do they exist, and so on. You have the new boss, you have new character types, and I'll get a little more into that as we go along. One thing I do want to put in there is that characters aren't as memorable this second time around. I believe it's just because of the 15-hour tag that it's been put on. I mean, the first game was like 60 plus hours. This, getting side quests and all, you can probably push 20 hours, but you're definitely hitting 15, and I don't think it was 15 hours. I don't think is such a good time to get to know all the characters, which is why I didn't find them so memorable. In the end, this expansion expands the story very well. It includes different factions of the Darkspawn. You get to see a little more history of the Darkspawn. You get to see how they come together, who they're fighting with, who they're fighting for, and in the end that becomes your main foe that you have to play off with. So basically I'm going to give the story an 8.5 out of 10. Now moving on to gameplay. Characters, let's just say this, characters hit like Mack trucks this time around. And again, that all depends on whether or not you get the right upgrades and such. I know, for example, my rogue hit 1052. That's the highest I've hit so far, and I mean, they just take people out. Basically, the game stays true to the typical BioWare games. It has very hardcore RPG elements. It has all the side quests, which, they tend to take a couple hours to complete, especially the ones where you gotta go searching for things. The game takes very, very good concept into getting the new enemy types. I mean, you're definitely not going to get ripped off with this expansion. There's no way that's possible. Especially because you're getting so much new involvement and such. I mean, you have new enemy types like Talking Darkspawn. The Talking Darkspawn, they introduced the whole new aspect of the story. Like, now we got factions for the Darkspawn. We got Darkspawn fighting Darkspawn. And there's just things like that. Then there's the children. The children are kind of like grubs. It's kind of like representative of the bug and the human mixed together kind of thing. It's really cool the way they put in the new enemy types and their backstories. Their backstories I find are the most interesting thing to keep out for. Vigil's Keep, like I said, is your main hideout where you stay. You do the final, you do some final things there and such. One thing that I found was interesting, they used kind of the Mass Effect route where you can upgrade it. The one thing I didn't find was that it's not as refined as the Mass Effect upgrade thing. In Mass Effect, you can go up to your characters and, if you talk to them for a certain period of time, they'll offer you upgrades. One thing that Dragon Age doesn't do is they don't offer you upgrades in the sense that it's obvious. It's something you gotta unlock as you're going through side quests and such for Vigil's Keep, which I found a little weird. It took me a while to figure out. I really thought it was underused because I really did, I think it was 3 side quests, and I ended up upgrading the Vigil's Keep to the fullest. I mean, it's good for achievements, but it's not really what we're looking for in an expansion. Again, I'm not going to expand on this too much because I don't want to spoil anything, but there are returning characters, and you will be surprised as to who you see. So, in the category of gameplay, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Moving on to graphics. Graphics, as usual, PC's fantastic. PS3 is just above Xbox 360. I own it for Xbox 360. And one thing I'm going to say is that the 360 version does have texture issues. I mean, you walk around, everything looks very rigid, nothing seems to flow really well. Environmental and level design is really cool, keeps up the pace, but again, you're lacking that visual sort of deliciousness. Characters glitch into environments, not really cool, especially if you're into big battles. I had a couple characters glitch in and out of the whole surface, and Trust me, it's not fun, especially when you're doing it a couple times. Thing is that, you know, during cutscenes, characters will look invisible, characters will start talking, and, you know, you won't see anything, or characters randomly will spill blood as you're talking. You know, there's just blood flowing in and out of them and whatnot. So, I mean, that's one thing that I found a little odd with the graphics for the Xbox 360. So for the Xbox 360, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Alright guys, that is the end of our review. The other guys couldn't join me, so I was the one doing the review today. The final that I've given it is 8 out of 10, and join us next time on Loading TV.